Okay, I'm recording.
Hi, my name is Ken Roseborough. I'm the editor and publisher of the Organic and Non-GMO Report and also the Non-GMO Sourcebook. We focus on the risks surrounding genetically engineered foods and the trend towards non-GMO foods. I've been publishing our magazine since 2001. I started this when I saw there was an interest in non-GMO and a rejection of GMO foods back in 2001, and we've been publishing ever since. And the momentum for non-GMO has continued to grow. We're seeing that at the Green Festival here in Chicago. We had a GMO panel and it was packed basically, and people are starting to wake up about this issue. For years, I saw there was a lot of non-interest in consumers about this GMO issue, but now more and more people are waking up to what's happening in their foods. They're finding out that these biotech companies are creating GMOs that are getting into the food supply. They're basically being snuck into the food supply without their knowledge or consent, and we're finding out there's health and environmental risks with GMOs, and people are outraged. And the more people learn about GMOs, the more outraged they become, and they want to eat non-GMO. They don't want to eat GMOs. They want GMOs labeled, and that's become a big issue now. There's a lot of initiatives in the U.S. to get mandatory labeling of GMOs, and so this movement is just growing, and we're going to have mandatory labeling, I believe. And even an FDA official said that once one state passes a labeling law, it's just going to happen. The food industry is just going to accept it. One of the risks is that if the food industry gets involved with the FDA in creating a labeling law, it could be very weak. So we really have to be vigilant to make sure that we have a law that meets our requirements, that's strict, that requires a low threshold for GMOs. Europe has a 0.9 threshold for labeling. We should have something like that here as well. So we're seeing this great uprising. All these GMO-free groups, GMO-free Idaho. Leslie, you're doing a great job, and it's so encouraging. I mean, a few years ago, none of these groups existed. And after covering this for 13 years, and to see all these groups coming up, and all these great people like you, Leslie, it's just so heartening, encouraging to me to see this happening. And we're going to win. It's just a matter of time. And I think the industry knows that. That's why they're fighting so hard to stop us. But it's the will, it's the will of the people, basically, and that's what our country is all about. And so we should have mandatory labeling. And I think once we have labeling, it's going to really decrease or could potentially eliminate the market for GMOs in the U.S. because that's what happened in Europe. When Europe passed a mandatory labeling law in the early 2000s, it basically killed the market for GMOs because the food companies did not want to put a GMO label on their products. So they started sourcing non-GMO ingredients. So the same thing could happen here as well. In fact, I spoke with some suppliers of non-GMO grains last fall when Prop 37 was still in the works. And they told me that the big food companies if Prop 37 passed, the big food companies would start sourcing non-GMO ingredients. So once we have labeling, it's a big first step to getting GMOs off the shelves. Because, as I mentioned, there are health and environmental risks that are starting to come to light. And so we really need to take back our food supply.
So when I started this 4 years ago with my partner Jenny Easley, the non-GMO report was a tool that we always utilized. So how can people access all of that information?
Well, we go to our website, www.non non-GMO-report.com. You can just do a search on non-GMO-report.com and find our website. We have a lot of articles archived on our website on all kinds of topics, from labeling to non-GMO trends to environmental risk of GMOs, health risks of GMOs. We have 12 years of archives, and you can subscribe to our monthly publication. We're not a non-profit, so we rely on subscriptions to keep going, and also advertising. We also have a Facebook page. You can follow us on Facebook. We put a lot of news articles of what's happening on our Facebook page. Just go to Organic and Non-GMO Report, search on Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter, where our Twitter page is @Non-GMO Report. So you can follow us. We post a lot of the latest news. There's so much happening right now. So with all the labeling bills in the states, in Vermont, Connecticut, and Washington's initiative, so we try to keep people up to date on what's happening. So we'll help you to follow the news and keep up to date, to get encouraged to join us in this effort to get GMOs labeled and get them off the shelf.
So once we have GMOs labeled or even banned, what happens with the non-GMO report? You gotta keep
I gotta find something else to do.
Or there's plenty of issues.
That's been one of the goals, is to put myself out of a job.
Oh, I love that.
So I gotta find something else to do.
Let's put Ken out of work. Oh gosh, thank you so much, Ken. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Leslie. It was great meeting you.